Hi, I'm Pat Foltz. I am the first year experience coordinator for the College of Creative Arts and Communication. Today I'm here with Matthew Mazuroski, the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance. Tell me, how did you get to YSU? How did you arrive here?
Well, about 6 years ago, I was looking for a job after my previous one, and I was brought onto campus. I really loved the faculty, the staff, the students. I grew up in a blue collar, working class family, and there was something about the students, that student population, that really sort of spoke to me. A shared experience, if you will. First generation college student, there a lot of them are as well. I think just the promise and what could potentially happen, the potentiality of the department itself and where it was moving, and being part of that to build the program even stronger than it was before.
So try to give me an over. I may want to call you Maz. I think that new freshmen should understand who this Maz person is
Right.
that they are talking about all the time, other students. So that's mostly what students call you.
Right, right. It's the shorter version of Mazuroski.
Yeah, and
Much
probably
easier.
needed that.
Yeah, much easier to pronounce.
So tell me, Maz, give me an overview of what all is contained in the Department of Theater and Dance.
Okay, so in the Department of Theater and Dance, we have a BA in Theater Studies, and within that they can have basically three different concentrations they can choose from. They can either do an acting or performance directing kind of concentration. They can do tech design for those that are more interested in that area. And they can also do a program that has just started about 3 years ago, and that's a film video option. So for those young aspiring filmmakers, that kind of thing, it's sort of a track that they can choose. We also offer a BFA in musical theater. That is a program that's highly competitive. We have about 25 students in that right now. And it does require an audition process. So that's the BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, is really a sort of pre-professional degree. So the idea is that once you get that degree, you should be ready to go out there in the world and audition and hopefully start working as a young performer. The other option we have is a BA in Dance Management, and that's a unique program to us. It really combines your sort of standard repertory of dance classes that you might take, ballet, jazz, and tap, modern, those kinds of things. But it also couples that with your minor would be in entrepreneurship, and which we do with the business school. And so the idea is that once you finish that degree, if you would like to set up your own dance studio, that you have the tools and skill sets in your toolbox to go out and use them. And we have, and that's also by audition. We want to make sure they have a certain basic level of skill sets there as they enter that program. But yeah, it's another one of our exciting programs.
Thanks. If other than classes that I have to take in a certain order,
Right.
what activities can I also enjoy that are sort of extracurricular outside of my normal classes?
Well, as you may know, within the theater department, theater and dance department, we do 3 main stage shows per year within the theater program. The dance has an annual dance concert. What's unique about that is primarily student choreographed pieces that are done there.
And student designed, I think.
Student lighting design within that. It is a fully supported presentation that we do within the department. So those are co-curricular activities, those main stage productions. But in addition to that, we have students that are writing new plays. We have students that are creating devised pieces. We have students every year that are doing senior projects. Every year we've been going to the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, which is sort of a gathering within our region, which includes about 7 different states. And so you have about 1,200 crazy theater majors that gather together, and you see some amazing work. You get to take some amazing workshops and classes. and get involved with quite a lot of different activities while we're at that festival. We've also been taking the students on field trips to see professional performances. Just last year, they went down to Pittsburgh to see a professional production. We're hoping this year to sort of take a group to go see the touring production of Hamilton, which is coming. So we're very excited about that. Some other things that we're doing, Dr. Chris Hill is doing putting together a study abroad opportunity that will take place in Ireland, which is his sort of area of expertise. And so that hasn't been approved yet, but we're sort of in the process of sort of understanding what that is all about. It is, I mean, we have students that are constantly working throughout the summer, whether it's internships, paid positions, those kinds of things. Probably about a good 3/4 of our students are doing some sort of summer employment opportunities within their career field, whether it's performance or tech design, those kinds of things. And so, yeah, lots and lots of different things.
To do. If I am not a major, can I come over and do some of these activities?
Yeah. We have a lot of students that are not within the major that will occasionally get cast. It is, you know, we do look at talent level, those kinds of things, but we do encourage students from all across the campus to come over and join us. We typically have auditions 6 months in advance of a production going into rehearsal or into that process or into the performance. So, and they'll see announcements around campus. We use a lot of social media. We have a strong Facebook presence, those kinds of things. And so we'll send out notification of those. We also have opportunities for those that maybe aren't ready or don't feel like they want to do a main stage show. We have the opportunities for students to get involved with our first-time directors who are doing 10-minute plays, those kinds of activities. So they can get their feet wet without sort of like fully committing. It is, I mean, it's pretty rigorous, especially when we're rehearsing, you know, 4 or 5 days a week.
You have to make a commitment.
Absolutely have to make a commitment. The show must go on.
Absolutely. If I am from another department altogether, or another college even, are there gen ed courses that I can take that in the department?
Yeah, one of our biggest right now is the History of Motion Picture class. It's kind of an awkward title. I want to change it to the History of Film. But it really looks at America's cinema since its sort of founding conception. So we go all the way back to the early silent movies, the shorts that Edison and his contemporaries did, all the way up through present day. So that's one of our big gen eds, because most students like movies. It's amazing how many of them haven't seen some of the classics, though. When you look at like The Godfather, I may have 10% of students in a class who have seen that. And so it's really an opportunity for them to experience and explore not only film, but film in its context, its historical context, its cultural context, those kinds of things. We also have a gen ed in survey of musical theater. They can take a gen ed in either history, theater history 1 or 2. We're also
there's a gen ed in sort of exploring theater.
Right. A gen ed called Understanding Theater, which is really a foundational thing. If you want to understand, again, the elements of theater, how theater is assembled, where its origins are, those kinds of questions. It's really a sort of foundational course that we offer. One of the initiatives that we're doing, and I'm hoping we can get this done this year, is currently Acting 1 is not covered in a gen ed. But we're hoping, because it meets all the criteria, that we can get Acting 1 to fulfill that. And with that, I think we'll have a lot more students that want to just explore acting.
Sure.
It's amazing what it does to sort of open up your ability to communicate effectively,
Sure.
to work in groups together, to work with other people. And it's really, you know, I think one of the big questions we're sometimes asked is, why is communication within this College of Creative Arts? And I think everything that we do is about communicating. We use different tools, different techniques, but it's all about communicating ideas, thoughts, feelings, artistic expression through different media that we use within this college.
When I was talking to Dr. Crawford, who's the acting chair of the Department of Communication, she said, we are all about storytelling.
Sure.
So.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think you've gone through the different majors and the different degrees. Are there academic requirements that students have to make sure they're staying above so that they can be in the shows?
Right. I mean, we are sort of where the entire university is. They must maintain that 2.0 GPA in order to not only our number one goal is to make sure that you get here, you get the experiences that you need or want that will help you at that next level in your career development. So our goal is your academics first. If they happen to fall below that, then there are some ramifications. There are some things that we need to do just to make sure that they're focused on the right things. So if they end up on academic probation or academic warning, for instance, they will not be allowed to audition for our co-curricular activities. Again, because of the time requirement. If we're talking about rehearsing, again, 4 or 5 times a week, 3 hours a night, that really does cut into study time, into work time, into family time, those kinds of things. So,
What might I think about I have to explain this to my parents. What might I think about doing with a degree in theater?
well, you've heard the term gateway drug, right? Well, theater oftentimes is a gateway degree because there are so many other disciplines that go into it. When you think about acting, understanding sort of human psychology is very important. So there are students that graduate with a theater degree that go into sort of all walks of life. You talked about storytelling earlier. When you think about anybody who's in the priesthood or a ministry, who's an attorney, who has any kind of sales or customer experience, service experience, acting skills give you that. They allow you to sort of meet somebody, be able to understand and communicate well with them. And so those are, that's sort of in a broader sense. There are so many career paths within the entertainment industry. I think oftentimes we get people who want to be actors. They want to be on stage. And of course, that's a very difficult path. It is, it can be a struggle. So oftentimes what the theater degree does is you explore lighting design and sound design and management and all these different areas that you can then expand into. We have former students that are in entertainment law. We have students that are working on working for Disney. We have in tech and design or in performance. We have a student who traveled the world on a cruise ship line. Those are early career things, but obviously there are any number of things. We have a lot of tech design students that they get their feet wet in theater and then they go into television, into film, into a whole host of different things. Some of the, when you think about big theatrical productions like Cirque du Soleil, those are touring with concerts, those kinds of things. So it's really, I think what the degree in theater, it makes you adaptable. It really does develop your sense of empathy, your sense of artistic expression, and how you communicate that effectively with another person. And I think that I always encourage my students to just be available and aware of the opportunities that present themselves. And if you're ready for those opportunities, then it's amazing where your life, your career will take you. I think sometimes students, especially in economically disadvantaged areas, like this Rust Belt city of Youngstown and the surrounding area, it's hard for them to see themselves as an Ed O'Neill or something like that, who's one of our alum. But Ed didn't sort of jump from here to there. He made it step by step by step by step by step. Tenacity, hard work, determination, and being prepared for the opportunities.
Sure. So what are your top 3 favorite things about your department?
Oh, dear. Well, the first thing I'd have to say is the collaborative nature of what we do. We do not function without a solid team in place, people that really want to sort of get their hands wet and get dirty, as it were. And what I mean by that, when we assemble theater, sometimes we have to do it with limited resources. So how do we take an idea that we want to do, and then now the practicality, how do we execute that? How do we bring that to life? And so we have great faculty and staff that are now in place that really allow that sort of collaborative process to take place. It's about, you know, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. In other words, my primary focus is directing, but if I came in with all the ideas and only my ideas, then all these great other, you know, experiences won't be brought into that discussion. And so it's really about opening that up, and what you discover is actors, designers, the production staff, they add so much more to that discussion, and what you're ultimately able to create is so much larger than what one person can imagine. I think that's the first thing. The second thing I'd say is our students. So we have some because we have a lot of acting students, I think sometimes other people on campus don't know quite what to do with them. They're used to expressing themselves quite openly, but that dynamic and watching them engage, and it's really about that sort of transition, because in high school a lot of them sort of are involved with it because it's about the, you know, oh my God, the audience loves me. And when they're in rehearsal, the director says, you stand there, you move there, you do this, you do that, and they're sort of told what to do. When we get them, our whole journey is about helping them find their own artistic agency, their own artistic voice, and watching that shift and that transition is one of the reasons why I do what I do. I would say that the third thing is that there's a great deal of support, I feel, from the administration, whether it's the dean or the provost, the president, all across campus, and the community of people, not only on campus but off campus, that come and join us, that want to see theater thrive, not only survive but thrive in Youngstown. You know, we get to do some amazing work. This coming year we're doing in the spring, we're doing a world premiere of a play that was written by a Youngstown native that takes place at a restaurant that used to exist in Youngstown. And it's really a play about a group of young people that work in this sort of fast food restaurant that are exploring and trying to find out, can I make a life here in Youngstown? And I think that's a conversation that a lot of parents, a lot of students are having at many Rust Belt cities. Can I make a life in this city or this town where I grew up, or do I need to go elsewhere? And I think it's a struggle, and I think it's a great question to ask. So,
anything else you'd like to tell me about your department? You seem very enthused and passionate about your department.
I would say, please come join us, whether it's as an audience member or you want to participate. Again, you want to get your feet wet. We're over in Bliss Hall, so those of you who are across campus who don't get a chance to get over here, come on over. I think the other thing that we're doing is there are a lot of interdisciplinary conversations that are happening. For instance, I just worked with some art students, some graphic art students, to create some posters and that we're going to mail out to high schools and to community colleges to let other people know about our program. So I'm working with students, and they're getting real world experience, and they're going to get paid for it, right? The winning submission will get paid for their creative work. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to some of the opportunities I think that are going to open up, especially between comm and theater and dance. We should be working, you know, hand in glove with them, and we oftentimes are. But I want to see those opportunities expand. You know, we work with musicians all the time, whether it's they're playing in the pit for a musical, or they're composing original work or original score for a play that we're working on at that time. We're starting to do, again, more work with graphic arts and art students in projection design, which is a huge business now. Most productions on Broadway right now rely heavily on some sort of projected images. And so the possibility of the artistic expression in those things hand in hand, I think, are really dynamic. So I'm really looking for those kinds of opportunities as we move forward.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to Matthew Mazuroski, the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance.